Story begins on the final day of filming a reality show, at a breathtaking location with the vast, endless sea stretching out behind them. South Korean actress Moo Hae stands beside Japanese actor Hiro. The two of them take in the view in a calm, shared silence. They do not speak to each other directly. Elsewhere on the set, a translator named Hojin listens to their words and delivers them through a translation device in their ears. The silence feels meaningful, as if it marks the closing of the entire filming journey they have gone through together. After a while, Hiro turns to Moo Hae and speaks in a gentle voice. He says that he enjoys every part of the scenery, because the woman standing beside him has become a part of who he is. Hearing those words, Hojin suddenly freezes, his fingers clench, and his voice catches in his throat. For a moment, he is completely unable to translate Hiro's words. His emotions collide within him, leaving him silent longer than he should be. Noticing the pause, Hiro asks Hojin to translate it using different words. We never clearly hear what Hiro actually says after that. In the end, Hojin takes a deep breath and delivers the translation to Moo Hae, his voice struggling to remain steady. I want Moo Hae to know that I care for her very deeply. The sentence hangs in the air without an answer. The true feelings are never spoken aloud, yet they feel unbearably heavy. A question lingers, unanswered. Were those words truly born from Hiro's heart, or was it Hojin's own heart that finally shattered and unconsciously slipped into the translation? The story then shifts back 1 year earlier. Hojin is in Japan, working as a translator for a Korean writer named Mr. Kim. During a casual conversation, Hojin mentions that he will soon be traveling to Spain for work. After parting ways with Mr. Kim, Hojin boards a train, unaware that fate has placed Moo Hae in the very same carriage. They barely interact, but get off at the same station and eventually arrive at a small ramen shop called Momochan Ramen. Inside the shop, Hojin sits beside Moo Hae and notices her struggling to use a translation app on her phone. Just as Hojin realizes that Moo Hae is also Korean, the atmosphere suddenly turns chaotic. At another table, a young Italian boy suffers a severe allergic reaction. Hojin, who speaks Italian, immediately steps in, calming the boy's family and helping them until the child is taken away in an ambulance. When Hojin returns to the ramen shop, he finds Moo Hae still there, quietly watching over his belongings. As a reward for guarding them, Moo Hae asks Hojin to help translate her conversation with the shop owner. Only then does Hojin learn the real reason Moo Hae has come to that place. She is there to see her ex-boyfriend, Yujin, a chef at the restaurant who left her for another woman who also works there. With a heavy heart, Hojin translates the conversation. However, the truth that emerges is far more painful than Moo Hae had expected. Yujin's partner is an older woman named Aiko, and she is 7 months pregnant. Meanwhile, Yujin had left Moo Hae only 3 months earlier. Shocked and humiliated, Moo Hae storms out of the restaurant in anger. Some time later, Aiko approaches Hojin and asks him to deliver a message. She explains that the baby she is carrying is not Yujin's, but her ex-husband's. She says that if Moo Hae can change Yujin's mind, she is willing to let him return to Moo Hae. Still overwhelmed by her emotions, Moo Hae wants to go back inside and talk one more time. Hojin refuses, not wanting to get further involved in the chaos, but Moo Hae looks at him and says that she is doing all of this for love. Despite going against his better judgment, Hojin eventually agrees and follows her back into the restaurant. Moo Hae asks Aiko whether Yujin spent several weeks with her during the time he disappeared from Moo Hae. Aiko admits that it is true. Moo Hae accuses Yujin of treating Aiko like a beggar for love, someone pitied rather than truly loved. Hojin chooses not to translate that sentence, but Aiko responds anyway and begins to share her own story. She says that she and Yujin have been together since college, but that Yujin fell in love with Moo Hae, a woman who had been abandoned by her family. Aiko then accuses Moo Hae of taking advantage of Yujin's loneliness to keep him by her side. Hearing this, Moo's composure finally breaks. Tears well up in her eyes as she says that she does not want Aiko to see her cry. Seeing this, Hojin steps forward and gently pulls Moo Hae into his arms, shielding her tears from Aiko's view. He then lies to Aiko, saying that he and Moo Hae are traveling together and only stopped by the restaurant to visit Yujin. After that, they leave the restaurant and part awkwardly outside. A moment later, Moo Hae runs back, out of breath, having accidentally taken Hojin's phone when they exchange belongings. Hojin then receives a call from the Italian boy's mother from earlier. She thanks him once again and offers to treat him to a dinner reservation as a reward for his help. Hojin hesitates, then turns to Moo Hae and asks if she would like to join him. Moo Hae says yes. With a few hours left before dinner, they decide to spend the day together. They stroll through the city, enjoying the scenery, chatting casually. and slowly growing more comfortable with each other. Through their conversation, Hojin learns that Muhae is an actress, though not yet very famous. The two then travel to a quiet island. There, Hojin begins to open up. He tells her about a woman named Jisun, someone he once loved deeply. He admits that his visit to the island is not without reason, as it is Jisun's birthday, and he wants to find out how much longing still remains in his heart. According to Hojin, their breakup was caused by a simple misunderstanding that was never truly resolved. The memories still linger and continue to haunt him with unanswered questions. As they search for a place to eat, the mood lightens again. Muhae suggests a bet. If she is right, Hojin must follow her on Instagram to help her reach 10,000 followers. At the same time, Hojin receives a call from a man named Jinsik, his older brother. Jinsik says that he has just had an argument with Jisun and realized from her Instagram post that she is in Japan. He asks Hojin if he knows the location Jisun posted. Hojin quickly realizes that she is most likely at the observatory on the island. Encouraged by Muhae, he runs there as fast as he can. Just as he arrives, Jinsik calls again. Time keeps passing, and the situation becomes more urgent. Time goes by, and Mui's life changes drastically when she is chosen as the lead actress in a zombie film. During filming, an argument breaks out between the director and the stunt double. Muhae steps in and insists on performing the dangerous scene herself. She falls from a building, and the shot looks perfect, but at the last second, the safety wire snaps, and Muhae crashes to the ground. Several months later, Muhae wakes up in the hospital after falling into a coma. While she was unconscious, the film The Quiet Woman became a global phenomenon, and her character, Jdrama, is now known all over the world. Elsewhere, Hojin watches the news in silence, seeing Mui's face appear on the screen once again, and he smiles softly. After that, Hojin returns to South Korea after being away for 3 months. He sits in the back seat of his car while the driver casually talks about celebrities, but Hojin's thoughts drift to one person he finds impossible to avoid, Muhae. Almost without realizing it, Hojin opens Instagram, searches for Mui's account, and follows her, becoming her 10,000th follower. After a brief pause, he sends her a message. At nearly the same time, at a filming location elsewhere, Muhae slips and falls, suffering an injury. Not long after, she appears on a German television talk show. Only a few weeks have passed since she woke from her coma, and she still cannot fully believe how drastically her life has changed. Mui's Instagram account has surpassed 10 million followers. Her name echoes far beyond anything she ever imagined. Backstage, she glances at the mirror and suddenly freezes. The reflection staring back at her no longer feels like herself, but like Jdrama, calm yet unsettling, as if the character has followed her back into the real world. Meanwhile, Hojin arrives at a large house that once belonged to his grandfather. Inside, he finds Mr. Kim warmly welcoming guests and encouraging them to stay. As if the house were still filled with memories, Hojin learns that Mr. Kim was his grandfather's close friend. Calmly but firmly, Hojin asks him to tell his mother to move all the belongings out of the house. He plans to sell it and move on. As time passes, people begin to recognize Hojin from one of Mui's Instagram photos, and speculation starts spreading online. Around the same time, Muhae is informed that she will be interviewed by Vogue Singapore. Her team hires a translator, and when Muhae enters the room and sees Hojin already waiting, she is genuinely shocked. During the interview, a question comes up about the man in her Instagram photo. Muhae explains that he is simply someone who once helped her find her way, though she admits that the idea of meeting a kind stranger does feel charming. After the interview ends, Hojin asks to speak with her privately. He admits that he deliberately accepted the job because there was something he wanted to ask her, but Mui's schedule is extremely tight, so he has to wait until her next appearance on a talk show. While Muhae sits in the dressing room with her assistant, Hojin accidentally overhears her voice through the door as she admits that she keeps thinking about their memories in Japan. Later, Hojin watches her on the talk show with eyes clearly filled with admiration. After the show ends, they walk together, and Muhae suggests having dinner as a replacement for the dinner they never had before. Hojin agrees but insists that their conversation be brief. During the conversation, Hojin directly asks Muhae to delete the photo of him that she posted, explaining that it has caused misunderstandings. Muhae hesitates and says that deleting it might actually trigger even more rumors. In the end, Hojin reveals the real reason. He does not want Jisun to know that he went to the island on her birthday. Muhae is shocked to learn that Hojin never actually met Jisun on that day. After dinner, Hojin reveals that he once contacted Mui's manager, Yonggu. After Muhae made her final decision about the photo, On the way home, Youngoo casually mentions something that shocks Muhae. Hojin had visited the hospital while Muhae was still in a coma, long before the film became a success and before Muhae became famous. Curiosity slowly takes over Mui's thoughts, and images of a woman named Jisoon begin to fill her mind. That night, Hojin returns home, opens a drawer, and takes out a small charm. Holding it in his hand, he remembers Japan, the day he met Jisoon, and how she bought him a matching pendant, saying that it would help them meet again someday. But in the next moment, he recalls seeing Jisoon standing beside his older brother, Jinsuk, introduced as Jinsuk's girlfriend. That memory has remained with him ever since. Hojin then sends a message to Youngoo, asking for the photo to be deleted. Muhae agrees while glancing at Youngoo's phone, where she sees a long message history from Hojin, sent repeatedly. The messages are filled with questions about Mui's condition while she was unconscious, about her health, and about whether she was doing well. Sitting alone in a van, Muhae calls Hojin and thanks him for visiting her at the hospital. At the same time, Youngoo finally reveals Jisoon's identity. She is a producer he knows, and he mentions it out of surprise. Hojin hears everything through the phone, and his tone changes as pain and frustration surface. Feeling guilty, Muhae immediately goes to Hojin's house to apologize in person, honestly admitting her curiosity. After a long silence, Hojin lets Muhae in, saying that it is better for her curiosity to be fully satisfied so she will not get involved again. Inside the quiet house, Hojin explains everything. He met Jisoon during a trip, but they never met again. When fate brought them back together, Jisoon was already dating Jinsuk. Muhae listens carefully, then asks whether things would have been different if they had truly shared dinner that day. Hojin answers honestly that they would not, because he has visited the island every year on Jisoon's birthday, and his feelings have never truly disappeared. Muhae lets out a small laugh and says that she only wanted to make sure Hojin did not have feelings for her. Hojin agrees and says that they should not meet again, even though he will always support Muhae from afar. The story then shifts to a film festival in Tokyo. Muhae walks the red carpet as cameras flash endlessly. Suddenly, she sees Jdrama again. The figure steps forward and pushes her. In her vision, Muhae falls into a dark, endless void. She comes to her senses when a Japanese actor catches her just in time, causing a stir among the reporters. After finishing all his work commitments, Hojin returns to his hotel. Outside his room, he finds Muhae crouching on the floor. Tears stream down her face as she looks at Hojin and calmly admits that the festival she thought would never end is slowly coming to an end. A flashback reveals the chaos on the red carpet. Mui's car stops, and another vehicle pulls in right behind it. Inside is Hiro. He watches Muhae step onto the red carpet as cameras flash non-stop. Hiro waits for the right moment to get out, but suddenly Muhae freezes, sensing that something is wrong. Not wanting to miss his chance, Hiro steps out immediately. Just as Muhae collapses, he manages to catch her in time. The two instantly become the center of attention. Elsewhere, the producers of a reality show are reviewing potential couples for their next project. They are looking for an actress to be paired with Hiro. When they watch the clip of Hiro catching Muhae on the red carpet, they exchange glances. The chemistry between the two feels natural, almost like a movie scene. Without hesitation, they decide that Hiro and Muhae are the perfect match. In Japan, Hojin takes Muhae to see a doctor he knows well. Inside the quiet clinic, Muhae explains that Youngoo recognized Hojin at the hotel, which is how he knew where to go when help was needed. She hesitates before asking for anti-anxiety medication, then reluctantly talks about the visions of Jdrama that continued to haunt her. Muhae admits that she was involved in a serious accident as a child, an accident that took the lives of both her parents, but she does not remember anything about what happened. A flashback surfaces in Hojin's mind. He remembers overhearing Mui's relatives talking at the hospital years ago, saying that Muhae had cut ties with her family and insisted that they never contact her again. Back in the present, the doctor prescribes medication and advises Muhae to undergo further examinations after returning to Seoul. As they leave, Hojin gently reminds Muhae to take care of herself and warns her not to drink alcohol at the event that night. At the party, Muhae meets Hiro. Hiro expects a word of thanks, believing that Muhae recognizes him as the man who caught her. Instead, Muhae casually assumes that Hiro simply wants to take a photo with her. Confusion is clearly visible on Hiro's face. Muhae does not recognize him at all. Not long after, the producer of the travel reality show contacts Hojin and asks him to join as a translator. Because the show involves traveling to various countries, Hojin's language skills are considered essential. Hojin is shocked to learn that it was Jisoon who recommended him. That night, Jinsik meets Hojin for dinner. They drink heavily, and Jinsik becomes increasingly drunk. In a careless moment, he reveals his plan to marry Jisun within a month. When Jisun arrives to pick him up, she casually asks Hojin about the television show offer. Realizing that accepting the job would help him avoid attending the wedding, Hojin agrees. Another surprise awaits him at the studio. As he steps inside, Hojin realizes that Muhae is the lead actress on the show. During the preliminary interview, Muhae suddenly sees Doremi again. Her confidence collapses, her answers become hesitant, and the atmosphere in the room turns awkward. During a break, Yonggu tells Muhae that Hojin is most likely there only because of Jisun's request. When Muhae and Hojin finally find time to speak alone, the tension between them is immediate. Muhae admits that her medical test results show no problems, yet Doremi continues to appear. Hojin scolds her for not taking better care of her health. In response, Muhae deliberately mentions Jisun's name to provoke him. Hojin fires back honestly, saying that he accepted the job solely to avoid Jisun's wedding. Their argument escalates and leads to doubts about whether they can work together. Given their past, in the end, Hojin decides to withdraw from the show. After Hojin leaves, Muhae enters an elevator. Inside, Doremi is already waiting. As the doors close, Doremi mocks her relentlessly. Panic sets in. Muhae collapses, screaming as the elevator descends. When the doors open, the staff stand frozen. Seeing Muhae crouched on the floor, overwhelmed by shame, Muhae forces a smile, brushes off their concern, and tells Yonggu that they need to leave immediately. Meanwhile, at home, Hojin and Mr. Kim discover an old family photograph. The photo shows Hojin's parents, Hojin himself, and Jinsik, who was born to a different mother. Mr. Kim gazes at the picture and gently mentions Mui's name. He warns Hojin that words can sometimes wound more deeply than one realizes. Seeking comfort, Muhae contacts Hojin and asks to meet. As they eat together in a calm atmosphere, they apologize to each other for the harsh words spoken earlier. The producers have not contacted Muhae again, and she begins to accept the possibility that everything may be over. Together, they talk about the Aurora Borealis, something they quietly hope to see if they truly joined the show. At that exact moment, Muhae receives a call from Yonggu. She has been selected as a participant in the travel reality show. Relief quickly turns into fear as anxiety grips her once more. Realizing that Hojin may be the only person who can truly help her through this time, Muhae looks at him and asks him to come with her. After a brief hesitation, Hojin finally agrees. This is followed by a preliminary interview, where Hiro and Muhae each learn who they will be traveling with during the show. Mui's expression brightens with quiet relief. She is surprised and happy with the pairing. Hiro, however, reacts differently. His face remains calm, but beneath that calm lies sharp tension. The first destination of the show is Canada. The cast and crew settle into their hotel, adjusting to their new surroundings. Only then does Muhae finally realize the truth. Hiro is the man who caught her on the red carpet, and the memory comes flooding back. Muhae asks Yonggu about Hojin, but Yonggu firmly tells her to stop worrying about Hojin and focus solely on Hiro. On the other hand, Hiro shows no enthusiasm about working with Muhae. Sensing his resistance, producer Kim steps in and persuades Hiro to continue. Hojin quietly supports the conversation. However, producer Kim makes one request of Hojin: he must keep Hiro's doubts a secret. In return, Hojin asks for one thing for himself: he wants the crew to call Muhae by her real name, not by the name Doremi. Upon arriving at the hotel, Hojin reaches the room he shares with Yonggu and casually asks whether Muhae likes Hiro. Yonggu answers honestly that she does. This conversation is later relayed to Muhae. Using Yonggu as an excuse, Muhae goes to meet Hojin, but Hojin quickly sees through her deception. They walk together and chat casually. Hojin mentions that his older brother will be getting married next week. As for Doremi, Muhae admits that she still encounters her often. These visions are accompanied by harsh mockery and cruel insults. Hojin gently points out that those words are Mui's own thoughts echoing inside her mind. Muhae struggles to explain it. Talking about it feels like opening the most private pages of her diary. Muhae is not the only one being haunted. Hiro jolts awake from a nightmare in which Doremi appears. His assistant then informs him that Muhae is planning a surprise for their first official meeting and suggests that Hiro prepare something as well. Hiro finally reveals the truth behind his irritation. It is not because Muhae failed to recognize him, but because Doremi's image as a zombie woman could damage the romantic image he has carefully built. Muhae asks Hojin what Hiro truly thinks of her, but Hojin refuses to answer. He insists that his role as a translator is to translate words, not emotions. Even so, he offers one piece of advice: Muhei should not listen to Doremi, even if those words sound exactly like her deepest insecurities. Hojin is about to say more when Yongu interrupts, forcing Muhei to leave. Not long after, the crew prepares for their first official meeting. Muhei and Hiro are placed in a park and are connected only through earphones, with Hojin acting as the translator between them. Hiro releases a series of balloons and asks Muhei to follow him. Muhei runs after them slowly, gasping for breath without anyone noticing, and Hojin quietly helps her find Hiro more quickly. When Hiro subtly mocks Mui's film, Hojin softens the translation. In the end, Muhei gives Hiro a heart made of maple leaves. In a low voice Hiro mutters that it is the worst, and Hojin hears it clearly. Suddenly dust gets into Hiro's eye and his contact lens comes out. He refuses to continue filming, saying he does not have a replacement. The shoot comes to a halt. Hojin meets Hiro's manager, Nanami, and insists that the issue be resolved quickly, quietly saying something that eventually changes Hiro's mind. Hojin then gathers all the Korean snacks Yongu brought and puts them into a bag, saying that he is going downtown to meet a friend. Muhei, wanting to apologize to Hiro for what happened earlier, joins the trip, and Hojin warns her not to approach Hiro without him. Hojin meets his friend and trades a bag of snacks for a thin envelope. As he leaves, Muhei sees Hiro calmly taking photos on the street. Looking perfectly fine, Doremi appears beside Muhei and urges her to throw a stone at Hiro. Muhei clenches her fist but holds herself back. Hiro notices her and walks away. Hojin arrives a short while later and finally tells the truth. Hiro never wanted the role from the beginning. Hojin then meets Hiro and hands him the thin envelope. Whatever is inside immediately changes Hiro's expression, and he agrees to continue filming. Hojin rushes to look for Muhei, but his phone is dead. On the way back, Hojin admits that he did not fully translate everything Hiro said earlier. He also promises that from now on he will translate all of Mui's words, even harsh ones, even though the rules forbid it. Back at the filming location, Muhei follows Hojin's advice and refuses to make herself smaller. She walks straight toward Hiro, raises her fist as if she is about to punch him, then opens her hand into a heart at the last second. Hiro's heart immediately starts racing. The truth about the envelope is revealed. Hiro has long wanted to watch an ice hockey game, and Hojin managed to get tickets for him. A flashback shows Hiro sitting with the writer, the producer, and Hojin. The writer tells him not to force a smile if he does not feel it, but to remain open to the possibility that he might come to like Muhei. Hiro promises that if he starts to fall in love, he will admit it honestly. Then, when Muhei runs toward Hojin, she suddenly stops when she sees Hojin standing face to face with Jisoo. After that, Hiro and Muhei travel together across Canada, taking part in the various activities planned for the show. Muhei is always smiling brightly and happily, which strangely unsettles Hiro. Nanami notices his confusion and says that Muhei truly looks like someone who is dating a man she likes. While Muhei happily discovered a 4-leaf clover, Hiro and Hojin watched her from a distance, quietly drawn to her joy. When Hiro and Muhei sat together watching the sunset, Muhei softly said that it was the most beautiful sunset she had ever seen, simply because she was not watching it alone. Not long after, Muhei learned that producer Kim had to return home due to an emergency and would be replaced by a new producer. As if things were not complicated enough, the chances of seeing the aurora borealis grew even slimmer. Because filming the next day was cancelled, Muhei and Yongu decided to drink while having dinner. Muhei felt disappointed when she found out that Hojin went alone to a bookstore. When Hojin returned to the hotel, he found Yongu passed out drunk and Muhei wearing his glasses. Muhei explained that she wanted to see the world the way Hojin saw it. Muhei then stepped outside still wearing Hojin's shoes, and Hojin followed her to retrieve them, only to realize that he had left his room key inside. At the same time Muhei also realized that she had forgotten her own key. Having nowhere to go, they ended up talking all night, sharing quiet moments until Muhei eventually fell asleep. The next morning they walked together to a nearby farmer's market. At a small food stall, Muhei explained that she was trying to collect 7 4-leaf clovers. She believed it would bring good luck and allow them to see the aurora borealis. Hojin remained skeptical but Muhei asked him to believe. Not long after, Hojin stepped away briefly for an errand. While waiting for him Muhei got lost, but found another 4-leaf clover and ran off to look for him. At the same time Hojin instead met Jisoo who had just arrived from the airport. Jisoo revealed that she was the one replacing producer Kim. When Muhei arrived and saw them together, her expression immediately turned gloomy. Elsewhere, Hiro asked Nanami whether she truly believed that Muhei liked him. Not wanting to toy with Mui's feelings, Hiro decided to act colder toward her. Inside the car, Jdrama appeared and mocked Muhei, revealing that she had actually been holding Mui's room key card all along. Jdrama urged her to ask Jisoo about her wedding scheduled for next week. When Muhei asked about it, Jisoo replied vaguely, only saying that she was the only producer available. As Jisoo and Hojin headed to Hiro's hotel, Muhei waited alone with Yonggu. Inside the hotel, Hojin asked again about the wedding, but Jisoo ignored him. A flashback showed Jisoo once saying that she wanted the marriage to end quickly, something that deeply disappointed Hojin. While jogging, Hiro saw Muhei sitting alone on a bench. Muhei poured out her feelings to him. Even though Hiro understood only a small part of what she said, Muhei admitted that she no longer wanted the aurora borealis to appear now that Jisoo was there. That night the entire crew had dinner together. In the middle of the meal, Jisoo announced that she was postponing her wedding for 1 week for the sake of the show. A flashback appeared, showing Muhei asking Hojin how he could love one person for such a long time. Hojin compared it to a horror movie he wanted to end but could not escape. Muhei then tried to comfort Hojin, telling him to look for an outlet with someone else. Hojin replied bitterly, saying that he had already tried getting close to someone else and it did not work. He said that Muhei should stay if she wanted to be a rebound after a breakup. Feeling offended, Muhei called him cruel and walked away. The next day, the crew traveled out of town for a night shoot under the light of the aurora borealis. As preparations began, Jisoo informed Muhei that Hojin had been involved in a minor car accident. While Jisoo handled the situation, Nanami stepped in as the interpreter. The filming ended with no sign of the aurora appearing. Hiro noticed a change in Mui's behavior and told Nanami about it. After realizing that Mui's feelings were actually directed toward Hojin, Nanami assumed that the problem lay in her own interpretation. Later Yonggu entered Jisoo's tent to bring food and accidentally answered a call from Jinsik. From the conversation it became clear that the wedding had been cancelled and that Jinsik wanted to resume the relationship. Jisoo panicked, threatening Yonggu and warning him not to tell anyone. When Hojin finally returned, he called Muhei out to meet him. Muhei apologized, believing that she had cursed Hojin and made everything come true. Hojin reassured her and then calmly pointed up at the sky. Above them, the aurora borealis finally lit up the night. Hojin revealed that while dealing with the accident, he had found the 7th four-leaf clover. Muhei asked him to stay and watch the lights a little longer. A brief flashback showed Hojin finding his room key card while Muhei was asleep and realizing that Muhei had lied. The final moment showed Hojin using his phone flashlight to search for four-leaf clovers, while his driver chatted casually with another driver. Muhei and Hojin stood side by side beneath the aurora borealis, the sky shimmering above them, filled with vivid colors. In her heart Muhei wished that her impossible hope of being together with Hojin could come true. Afraid to see the lights fade, she suggested that they leave while the view was still beautiful. Back at the campsite, Yonggu spoke honestly with Jisoo, telling her not to take Jinsik back if he had cheated, saying that infidelity crossed a line that could not be erased. When Jinsik called again, Jisoo answered calmly and said that Jinsik had also cheated on her and that their relationship was over. After hanging up, Yonggu asked if she had really cheated. Jisoo replied that she was planning to. Yonggu struggled to understand that logic. When Hojin's name was mentioned, Jisoo said that she would never cheat with him, because she had once had feelings for him. Meanwhile, Hojin walked Muhei back to her hotel room. He looked irritated when Muhei began talking excitedly about Hiro, especially about his dimples. The next day the team headed to the scheduled filming location, only to find the gate closed due to a date discrepancy. While waiting, Muhei noticed Hiro taking photos. They spent time together, communicating awkwardly through a translation app. Hiro almost asked whether Muhei liked him, but stopped himself just in time. After the gate finally opened, Muhei and Hojin walked together. Hojin mentioned that he was raised in the United States and had been to that place before. He tried to take Muhei to a nearby waterfall, but they ended up at a quiet lake instead. Laughing, they pretended that the lake was the waterfall they were looking for. In that tender moment, Muhei suddenly kissed Hojin. Almost immediately she pulled back in shock and quickly said that Jdrama had told her to do it.